Hello everyone, and welcome to this latest video discussion as part of the RICS Tech Partner Programme. My name is Andrew Knight and I work within the knowledge and practice area of RICS, looking at the impact of data and technology right across the built and natural environment. And with 110,000 members worldwide, clearly a huge impact on our members who work right across the property lifecycle, all the way through land, planning, development, construction, brokerage, valuation, finance, building surveying, asset and building management. So clearly a very rich canvas upon which data and technology is having a huge positive impact, but also a degree of risk. And I'm glad to have David join me from Mitigo, who we've had a number of conversations over the last year or so around the challenges of cybersecurity. And it'd be great, David, just to remind us, perhaps, introduction of what Mitigo is and what you do, and then perhaps give us an update on what you see the current landscape of cybersecurity, particularly from the built environment perspective.
Well, Mitigo provide an outsourced cybersecurity service for small and medium-sized firms, focusing very much in professional sectors. We're seeing some dramatic changes now, I think, in the cybersecurity landscape. And what's happened is we have lived through a period where the drive for technology and automation and everything being online or in the cloud has meant that organized crime have moved from where they're making their money to doing cybercrime. And that's meaning that we all have to be much more on our toes. Yeah, the best examples is every time we put a control in, so for example, backups were the control for ransomware, MFA was the control for email account takeover, those are already being circumvented. They are no longer the kind of silver bullet for cybercrime. So we all have to be a bit more continuous in this, and we all have to really think about these are organized criminals now, and they're not going to go away.
Indeed, indeed, and I'm very conscious that the built environment does have some kind of particular, I guess, challenges in the sense that there's a lot of remote working now. A lot of our members are out on site as well, and I guess to use the jargon, there's probably a lot of attack surfaces that our firms in our profession are probably, probably sort of vulnerable from. Can you explain what you mean by an attack surface?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on. And the attack surface is literally everything that you've got that is internet facing, that is using digital technology, is your attack surface. So the most attacked thing is the laptop at home. No longer is it sitting safely behind office technology. The criminals are trying to, in fact, there's an ecosystem of criminals on the dark web where there is a job that's called the instant act or the immediate access kind of layer of criminals, and their job is just to take over your devices and then sell it to the market for people to take you over. But start thinking about the built environment. How many people are now using their mobile phones, on site or with clients to record data, to take picture, to, dictate stuff, and that's all merging into our cloud and into our Chrome. Your data and information is going everywhere, and if it breaks, a big issue for this sector is productivity or loss of information. That means that you're missing contractual dates. You're losing a lot of money if you're down. So that's what the criminals are going to play on. So yeah, that's where I see that you're absolutely spot on. It's the attack surface and understanding how you make that resilient, but also you can get your information back if something happens.
And I suppose, that there's a danger that given what's in the press and what people read, that they get very focused on the kind of extortion part of cyber risk, which is clearly a huge risk. But as you say, it's almost the sort of interruption to business and reputational damage that can happen if you do suffer an attack, because in many respects it may not be that direct ransom. It's just the fact that you lose the ability to trade and let your clients down that can have a huge impact, can't it?
Massive. It's massive, and the point is that they're not after you. They haven't set out and saying, right, I'm going to hit this RICS member. It's carpet bombing. It's driven increasingly by AI, so they'll disrupt you and break you, and then have a look and go, what have we got here? Okay, and then they'll see what they can exploit. But you still had the disruption, and then, as you say, the impact of that can be customer driven, depending on the supply chain you're in. Supply chains are getting increasingly more onerous in terms of their expectations of you. And if you get hit, or you've got certification that then fails because you get attacked, then that's going to not play out well. And insurance as well, by the way. You look at the T's and C's of things that you have to have said that you've done. If you get hit, that's going to be looked very closely at. So, well, we didn't have that switched on. Well, that wasn't set up properly. So, you're spot on. It's an impact for every industry, whether they've got personal data or whether it's just about the impact on the viability of their businesses going forward.
Indeed, and I suppose perhaps a useful analogy for particularly the kind of SMEs is to think about cybersecurity as we perhaps all used to be very, very focused on physical security in terms of alarms and those kind of systems, is have that same kind of approach and mentality to what should I do to secure my digital estate, in the same way that we think, how do I secure home office, proper office, all that kind of stuff. It's that same mentality, I guess, isn't it?
It is that same mentality. The example I sometimes use is that if you've ever lived in London, every morning you'll walk down the street to the tube station, you'll see a smashed window of a car. And that's because somebody has left something on a seat or on the back shelf that a criminal has gone, oh, and they smashed your window. They weren't after your car. They were just wandering the streets looking for people leaving stuff open. And that's let's call that's the first stepping point for anyone listening to this video, is to think, just don't leave the things out there that people are going to find. And that's to do with understanding how your firewall's set up, how your data's set up. If you've got an interactive website, have you looked at how the logging page is built? It's about keeping the windows and doors closed. Then they will move on to somebody else if you get that attack surface tidied up.
Indeed. And one last question, I guess, and thanks as ever for giving us some of your time. It's hard to have any discussion with our tech partners at the moment without talking about AI. I mean, are you seeing AI having an effect? Because I'm very mindful that a lot of the AI that people are talking about now in terms of generative AI is producing these kind of deep fake images, for example. I know I saw a couple of scams people were talking about on Twitter, where effectively they're impersonating people. Are you seeing, dare I say it, bad actors beginning to use AI to make their either phishing attempts or other kind of ways of getting into systems using that kind of powerful technology?
Well, the components of AI are things like algorithms and computer learning, and those have been part of the driving force behind cyber criminals for the last decade already. So AI is just kind of the next point on top of that. The biggest risk, is that there's so much noise about AI, it gives the criminals another angle in. People are, it's a bit like mobile phones or cloud platforms. People are blindly thinking, "Oh, I've got to get into this." So they'll go to websites and they'll download bits of AI technology to help their business that they haven't even thought about where that's come from. So we're already seeing attackers using this great hype to be able to get in on phishing attacks or getting people to download stuff. That's the biggest issue. Criminals use opportunities where people will turn their brains off and do things that are not safe. And downloading something or even uploading your data. I see people uploading data into AI engines where they don't even know the provenance of it, the governance around it. So the key, that's where I think the biggest threat is. The automation, the algorithms are already there. AI will take it to another level.
Indeed. Well, it's something to watch. Well, thanks as ever for your time today. And there's a number of articles that we'll link to when we publish this video. And I do recommend our members have a look at the articles that you publish. And I know you work with other professional bodies as well, because this is constant vigilance, as the phrase goes, isn't it, in terms of this chess game between us as a profession and the bad actors out there. But for today, as ever, thanks ever so much for your time, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you so much, Andrew.